And
Yeah, it was like four. I think we ended up right around 425, I believe. We were very, very close to that by the time we did the Kickstarter money and the PayPal's put together.
it's pretty awesome. Biggest game on Kickstarter. Congratulations.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Wasteland's looking good too. So that's rocking
Yeah.
along.
Yeah, by the way, I got Chris Keenan here. He's the producer of the game. So
How's it going,
depending on
guys?
how specific your questions go, I don't want to bring him into this too.
Okay,
But
cool. Yeah. Well, what I thought would be fun would just we like have a chat. We can talk about like why we think it's great doing the crowdfunding side, and then talk a little bit about both Wasteland and Torment as well. Because I mean, I'm a big supporter. I think you are too. Of all of us getting to do games without the interference of a big publisher or a VC that's on our back saying, "I need a return in 2 or 3 years," and we could just focus on building a really great game. And there's nothing better than doing it with the community, sort of enabling you to do it and participating in it, which I know you're doing on all your stuff, and we're trying to do on Star Citizen too. And it's a great. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. I'm having as much fun as I did back in the very early days, like late '80s, early '90s. Which
well, I would say I'm having more fun because don't forget back then we still had our bosses, right? Which were the publishers, and sometimes the experience some were
but
good,
you
and
were,
some were bad.
you were a publisher though at some point, right?
Well,
You had to
yeah,
play-
well, way back, yeah. So it wasn't until that wasn't until the late '80s is when I got to become a publisher myself, and yeah, that I was able to control my destiny 100%, and there was no sitting around doing a cost risk analysis on every little creative idea. We would just roll with it.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, that's the same thing. I mean, Origin, Origin was basically a little micro publisher, and we sort of did that ourselves. And then once we were bought by EA, it was nice to get money from being bought by EA, but the rest of it wasn't so much fun because then you
Yeah.
started to be part of a quarterly release schedule, and the shareholders need this quarter, and we want you to come here. We want to take some resources from here to here, and anyway, and we
Yeah,
think the kids want this, not that.
Well, people assume that when you get your money from a publisher that your interests are 100% in alignment, and as you know, that's not really the case. They could have very different agendas about things that they think are important, which aren't necessarily, or they may be needing to make their year end, or they could have a competitive product. There could be any number of things that are entering into it. Whereas when we do it this way, we're 100% in sync with our. Basically, I look at the backers as like our shareholders, except for they only want a game. That's it. They just want a great game, and so our thoughts are more pure on what we're doing. So I spend 95% of my day in and day out here just focusing on ideas to make the game better or to reanalyze it and look at it and just to make sure that we're doing all the right things. We don't spend any of our time focusing on any of the other sort of normal business activities.
Yeah, from a production standpoint too, I mean, you strip out so many extraneous activities that you have to do constantly when you're working with publishers, like making a demo and then, there's a new game show 2 months later, which means you got to make a brand new demo, which means you're making another demo after that in 2 months. And, when you're making demos, you got to sit there and put your top team on it. You want that thing to look good, so it's a lot harder to manage the day-to-day operations and make sure that everybody is staying in sync with the product when you're constantly off doing all these extra activities.
Yep. No, I definitely. I mean, I would say that for and I think everyone on our team, the fact that you don't have to worry about anything else but making the best game, and that everyone that's backed you just wants the best game, and you're all in alignment, is completely liberating. I mean, there's I don't know, whatever, hard to put a number on it, but I would say whenever I was in my EA days or when I was working with Microsoft, half my time was spent managing other stuff that wasn't necessarily anything to do with the game. Whereas this, every day everyone just comes in and says, hey, how do we make this game cooler? And the other thing that's nice is the feedback you get from the community is real feedback, right? So like if I know you guys have all sat there across the table and you're getting feedback and you're going, you don't even play these games. And why are you giving me this feedback? Like, why do you know that this is going to make the game better? You just think it's going to make this better because you read something somewhere that maybe that's going to have a bigger audience. Whereas in this case, when we get feedback from the community, it's like, hey, these are people that play this, they live and breathe it, they want to see this genre come back, they want to play this specific kind of game, and they care so much they're willing to help it happen and invest money, 1-2 years before they're even going to get a chance to play the finished game. And I would much rather take feedback from that community than a publisher or an investor that says, "Oh, I just read in Forbes that free to play is really big now. Should we get into that?" Or mobile. Look, let's get into mobile. Those Clash of Clans guys are making lots of money every day. Okay, we can do Clash of Clans too. I mean, we're like, okay, that's not that easy to just kind of do. So those are all the things that make the crowdfunding aspect really great.
Yeah, no, we're getting pure information, and I mean, you think of, well, I'll say it took a little while. You have to really sort of change your DNA of the company to start releasing and showing everything early and getting that feedback. It takes even when you want to, like, it was so used to doing it a very different way, and it's been a bit of a